and we're teaching the officers on the new use of force that came out as of last year. So, but we have also been doing it through our policies as well, but they're actually have, from South Bay Regional Academy, they came down with their trailer, and they're actually putting them through use of force scenarios so they can keep up to date with the new mandate that was as of last year. Any questions?
Thank you, Chief. Council, any questions, Jose?
Not at the moment, but eventually in the future, I'm still looking forward to that animal control presentation.
Yes, matter of fact, since you brought that up, I'm actually looking at February, where I'm going to actually have animal control and their supervisor. And then what I want to do, because it was brought up by Mayor, I want to start periodically doing like maybe every other month. The next one I want to have is actually our dispatch supervisor and a dispatcher come and introduce themselves and let everybody know what they do as well. And I'm going to start bringing people in from patrol, administrative services, et cetera, on down the line, so people can start knowing what some of the stuff that we do. Again, I think most people know that our Citizen Academy didn't kind of go as thought, as well as it was planned out, but I think maybe got like 2 people that actually applied for it. Wasn't enough to actually go through the class because it's a lot of overtime and time that we put into it. But however, we are actually going to put it back out, and hopefully we can get more interest in it. This next go around, I'm going to actually put it out in different languages so we can kind of reach out more so with other people, because I would really like to get people from the citizen groups out there to actually come in and see the things that we do so we can share that with them.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Maria, you have any questions for the police chief? For me, Chief, thank you for, like I said, everything you guys do. I was going to mention, I know there wasn't a lot of interest or a lot of applicants for the Citizen Academy, but I'm glad you're putting it back out there, because I think it's a good opportunity for our residents to, go through that and kind of see from officer's point of view what you guys do and different scenarios. So thank you for putting it out again, and we'll definitely help you out and advertising it and making sure interested people participate and apply for. So thank you. Obviously, like I was able to meet with you last week, I believe, along with our city manager. I appreciate you taking the time, and I'll tell you once again, I appreciate, or you have my full support and open door policy and the full support from the mayor's office, and I know our council feels the same way. We talked about different things and priorities and concerns, so I appreciate that. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other staff in the room? Any announcements or reports? Seems like we don't have any more. Now we're going to move on to our city manager announcement and report.
Yes, Honorable Mayor and Council and public, there's a few items that I want to cover. First, I want to thank the mayor. We had an opportunity to catch up with the Foster Farms CEO and some of their staff members. Again, we reached out to them, one, so that we can talk to them about some very important items. Some of those items have to do with the point of sale. I won't get too deep into it, but basically it's something that will benefit not only Foster Farms, but the city, and hopefully we can continue to move that item along, because that would be very beneficial, like I said. Other items, we talked about, beautification, mural programs. We talked about all the different COVID protocols and how we can work together and how we can protect employees, residents, community members, businesses. And so we want to continue to work with them in all kinds of facets, because we're tied to them at the hip. In addition to that, I also wanted to communicate that the county, as you've already have seen or heard, there is actually some vaccination phases that they're implementing. So we're in phase 1B, 1A and 1B. And so those individuals that fit in those categories, you can start scheduling your vaccination. We're hoping to we've been working with OES, and we're hoping to have some of the vaccinations take place in Livingston very soon. If you go to vaccinatemercedcounty.com, you can actually sign up for updates and also for, so you can see what category you fit in, okay, in terms of when you're up for a vaccination. So stay tuned for that. We continue to work with our member agencies and continue to follow all the protocols here locally, letting our residents know about COVID. And so trying to keep everything within control. And we continue to be in the purple phase, and so we hope to turn the corner soon on that. But if you have any questions, or the public has any questions as it relates to vaccination clinics, we're more than happy to provide that information, or any COVID information. We continue to supply some of our businesses with items that maybe might be difficult for them to obtain, whether it be disinfectant wipes or whether it be, disinfectant gel, et cetera. At cost, we're more than happy to help facilitate something like that. I also have, we installed suggestion boxes in all of the different departments in the city. So in case any of our employees have suggestions or comments or wants to provide something confidential, they can do that. And every month, we basically will service those boxes and get that information. So providing that. Let's see. That basically completes my report, unless the council has any questions for me.
Thank you, Jose, for your report. Council questions, Jose?
Actually, I don't know, just maybe a question or a comment. Yesterday I was participating in a Zoom meeting with Gray Davis, and he did report out that California, especially Merced County, we're having a shortage of vaccines, to where I think we only have 13 per every 100 or 1,000, and where other counties are having 36 or 25 or 30.
Yes, that is correct. Yeah, so our elected officials are working very diligent to try to get the state to provide more doses. Right now, there's only sufficient doses to go up until, I think, to the 21st of this week. So yes, we need to advocate for more doses for Merced County. Absolutely.
Thank you for the question. Any further questions? Councilmember Jose? You're good? Councilmember, no? So, no? Okay. I do have a few questions, Jose. In regards to, give us just a quick information about this campaign that the city of Livingston is participating in to support Livingston restaurants.
Yes. So so the county from the very beginning has done a number of different campaigns. So currently, the campaign that the county has put forward is just basically notifications to get people to buy local and to go and support their restaurants. However, in addition to that just promotional campaign, there are different types of grants that are out there, and folks that are interested can certainly contact City Hall, and we can put you in contact with those agencies. We're working with many different agencies, not all of them necessarily from our county. So whether it's the PPP program, loans through nonprofits, or state funding or county funding, we've been able to help a lot of different businesses with their individual needs. So I am aware of several that have benefited from that. So if you're interested in knowing more, feel free to contact us, even if it's not necessarily English. If it's Spanish or any other language, we'll look and see how we can assist you. So thank you for the question, Mayor.
Thank you. Just another, I know we talked about this and we put it on our social media regarding the self-help enterprise.
Yes. So we went after some grants, and we've been successful. And so there's two components to the grant. One of it has to do with mortgage assistance in order for those who are looking at buying homes here in Livingston. But the other one is subsistence funding. So basically, individuals who qualify, they can actually get some funding for utilities and for mortgage payments. So again, you have to qualify for those. If you're interested, call City Hall or look on our webpage, and we're more than happy to provide you the information. And Self-Help is one of our partners, and so they basically do the intake and follow through on all aspects of that funding.
Thank you, Jose. I think this is a very important resource, definitely out there. for our community. So I appreciate the work we did on that. Thank you. Just for the record, our Mayor Pro Tem has joined us in our meeting. Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, do you have any questions or comments for our city manager?
Negative at this time.
Thank you, sir. So we're going to move on to city council members' announcements and reports. Mr. Council Member Jose Moran, any reports?
Yes, thank you. Well, first of all, I hope that everyone had a great weekend and holiday celebrating Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. yesterday. Secondly, I just want to say thank you to all the residents of Livingston who have reached out to me and shared their questions, their concerns, and their improvements that they wish to see in the city for everyone to enjoy. At the same time, I want to continue to encourage all of the residents to reach out to all of your elected officials in any way, shape, or form, preferably by email or phone call. We're only a phone call away. And then just to report real briefly, I was invited to participate by a Delhi community group to meet with Senator Ana Caballero via Zoom today. And just like our other surrounding communities and like in Livingston, we all have the same issues. We all have the same concerns, you know, especially regarding affordable housing, internet, and Wi-Fi access for all, COVID testing and vaccines for farm workers, and now, as I previously mentioned, the vaccine shortage, and mental health access, community centers, and skateboard parks. So once again, you know, it's very important for your elected officials to understand and to know what your priorities are. So make sure that you always reach out. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Soto?
Yeah, I have a page things to report, but I'll try to keep it as brief as possible. Working with the VFW, our last takeout dinner will be January 28th, starting at 4:30, just in case. And as part of the Community Outreach and Youth Activities Program Director, I will be meeting up with some folks at Camp Pacifica so that we can generate some ideas for future activities that we'll try to make available to our youth and adult volunteers here in Livingston. Also, I've reached out to the mayors of Merced and Las Banas to consider adopting our national motto, "In God We Trust," just as we have, for their cities and their chambers for 100% county victory for all 6 cities here in Merced County. I've also reached out to Merced Unified High School District and working to reach out also to the Livingston School District in collaboration with Jackie Sullivan, who is a council member from Bakersfield, to help promote patriotism in the classrooms. And that's what I do on behalf of VFW, which I use that here in our council chambers as a platform so that we all work together to unify and promote patriotism. I'm also a board member on the Livingston Youth Football and Cheer Organization. We're working towards a season for 2021. Again, that's just currently just an idea that we want to bring forward so that we're not caught off guard when our restrictions are lifted. And we want to be prepared for our community. We will be having a meeting, possible signups come February. Again, that's preparing ourselves when restrictions are lifted. And also, it's never too early to start thinking about 4th of July. I just want to put that out there as a previous co-chair to the 4th of July committee. I know that last year we ran into some glitches on how we wanted to, or how we could move forward with some activity. So again, there is a Facebook page for Livingston 4th of July. If there's any comments or any suggestions, if the public and residents would like to post something so that we're not working on it, in June. So I'd appreciate that. Let's see. Also, just to kind of piggyback off of some of the announcement that city manager had made in regards to some of the things that they're doing for local businesses, I did reach out to Anessa from the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce from Merced County. And again, those what they're doing is phenomenal for our small businesses. And again, some of our businesses here in Livingston are part of that board over there. So again, I'm keeping the close contact to see what's happening in our county and how we can assist our local businesses. And that's, again, a little shout out for what our recreation committee is doing with the discount cards. Support our local businesses, and I'm sure people from council and everybody throughout that's wanting to promote will help you with a discount card. I attended 2 League of City Zoom meetings. Today we had a roundtable for Parks and Rec. Again, I can discuss some of that with Jackie at another time. There was also a very informative economic development roundtable. A lot of useful information that Jose has, our city manager, had shared with you, and I'm glad to see that Livingston is on board with what most of California is doing and able to generate some funding for our town. So more information on that. They'll be having some more meetings. I also attended the Planning Commission meeting last week. I do have a letter that, this is an item number 9 that I will share with you. And I will also be attending the use of force training tomorrow with our Livingston PD. And there's also a MCAG meeting this week. Yeah? I think I'm done.
Thank you, Maria. Mr. Mayor Pro Tem Garcia?
Yes, I just got one thing. I'm not sure if you guys know, yesterday was a sad day in California. We lost a Sacramento County deputy after a vehicle stop. Him and his partner, canine officer, were killed after that vehicle stop. Me being in this profession, it's hard, especially I was also a canine deputy. My dog just retired. All I plead is just, follow directions. If you have a complaint on an officer, the chief is there to listen to you guys. And I just want to thank our officers for the city of Livingston and the chief for what he does and his staff. And also our dispatchers who are behind the scene. Sometimes they don't get enough credit that they deserve. So I'd like to also thank them. Those dispatchers that were on that shift, I'm pretty sure they're affected by what happened because we work with the same dispatchers, 99% of the time. So my condolences to the Sacramento County Sheriff's Office and the family of the fallen deputy and his canine. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem Garcia. We'll move on to mayor announcement and reports. For me, I just want to inform the public that, as a mayor, it's very important that I establish communication and relationships with our city staff. I was able to meet with our police chief, like I mentioned earlier, and advocate also the concerns our community has in regards to recent shootings, fireworks, all that stuff, stressing that, we do more community policing, and that was a very productive meeting. Like I said, our full support is here, and open door policy in regards to my office, but I'm sure the rest of the council. Also met with our public works director and our city manager and discussed the priorities and what they're trying to advocate up in that department, challenges, and great meeting, and And, once again, it's important that we establish that communication. Met with the Recreation Department, Jackie as well, and, same thing. Like our city manager mentioned, we did have a meeting with with Foster Farm CEO and human resource staff. Like I mentioned, it's very important that not only with our city staff, but also our partners in the community, our different businesses, different corporations, we have to start having that mentality that they are part of our family here in Livingston, and communication's the most important thing. When there's concerns or you want to advocate, it's good to meet and talk and have that face-to-face. So it was a very productive meeting. They feel the same way. They feel part of they want to feel part of the family. They want to contribute. I think they want to do what's best for our community. At least that's how I felt leaving that meeting. And we offered the same thing. We offered to, be available and have a good relationship moving forward. Like Jose mentioned, we presented a few things that could benefit both Foster Farms and the city of Livingston. Advocated for our community in regards to COVID. So I think we're definitely headed towards a good direction and good relationship, and looking forward to working with them, being a big part of our town, and being a big part of our community in regards to jobs, but also their support and vice versa. So it was a great opportunity, and I'm looking forward to other meetings with other businesses and other, community organizations as well. I do want to ask the city manager and city staff that we make a priority to schedule a priority workshop as soon as possible. I know we've talked about this, but we need to get it going, because that will establish our goals for the next 2 years. Obviously, each council member and me as a mayor have priorities and want to accomplish different things, but I think together we also have common ground of where we want to go and where we want to head. So I think that's a very important meeting we need to have as soon as possible, so we could coordinate that with our council members and staff to get that going, please. And then following that, a joint meeting with Recreation, and that's something we had discussed during our meetings. And then in regards to, I'll be attending the MCAG meeting this Thursday at 3 p.m. I will also be attending tomorrow's use of force training at 5 p.m. And then just a public announcement, everybody, please, we're fundraising for our 100-year anniversary regarding the discount cards. So, support the Centennial Celebration. They're $10. And they're supporting local businesses, offering great discounts, and it's valid through February 2022. So please support those efforts. And that's pretty much it from me. And let's move on to a public hearing. We have 2 items under public hearings. The first one, item number 3, it's a resolution approving an application for funding and the execution of a grant agreement and any amendments thereto from the 2020 Community Development Block Grant Program, Coronavirus Response Round 2 and 3, NOFA, dated December 18th, 2020. Who has this item? What's that? Oh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Again, this particular, it's the same, our partner, Self-Help Housing. This is additional funding, and again, what we're doing here is we're going after funding that's going to help sustain our local businesses as it relates to the CARES and the Coronavirus Act. And so what we're doing is we're going to, through the process of the self-help enterprises, we're going to open it up for those businesses that are interested in needing assistance, and also the subsistence grant. So this is those 2 components. So this is a public hearing, so in case anybody has any questions, they're more than welcome to ask.
Thank you, Jose. Council, do we have any questions or comments? Councilmember.
A question, is this, well, because there's a particular amount, so this is us first
Yes.
come, first served until,
Yeah, until it's depleted. And so the breakdown is, one is through the economic development side, and the other one is the subsistence. And so I believe it's 131,000 for the subsistence, and I think it's 200,000 for the ED. So again, we wanted to make sure that not only that could we help the businesses, but we can also look at providing at least some loans to the businesses. And how the actual program is going to work is going to depend based on, or how you're going to qualify is going to depend on the business. And there's a number of different needs. And $200,000 doesn't sound like a lot, but, you know, if we can allocate those in nice, good chunks, you know, it certainly helps. So feel free to contact us, and we'll help you navigate through the two programs.
and probably, this was a question that was asked to me, but probably, obviously, the program director will be the best one that could probably answer that question. And the question was, if this family or this person already participated in a similar program from the county, or through, I think it's CVUC, the ones that are running that
Yeah.
program for the county, would they still be able to participate and qualify for something like this?
Let me make a quick little correction. I said 131,000, I believe, and it's actually 331,000, okay, for the subsistence grant. So in terms of whether or not, they will specifically spell out, I didn't see anything in reading the documentation or talking to the self-help where it precludes people that have received some type of assistance in the past from getting assistance again, okay? But certainly, if you have any questions on that, feel free to call us.
Thank you. Any further questions? Councilmember Jose? Councilmember Soto, questions, comments? Mayor Pro Tem Garcia?
Negative.
And for me, negative as well. The only question or follow-up regards Jose's question regarding like the CVOC program and stuff like that. I know that for that particular program, I think it was the other enterprise program that might be conflict if they already received any assistance, but I'm not sure about this one, my clarification.
Yeah, we'll clarify that, but again, in reading the documentation, I did not see anything that precludes people that have received some type of help in the past from getting help currently.
Thank you. This is a public hearing item, so I would like to open it to the public, open the public hearing, and open it for public comment. Do we have any comments regarding this item from the public? All right, seeing no public comment, I would like to formally close the public hearing. All right, council, do we have any motions?
I motion to approve the resolution approving condition, that's the application for funding and the execution of a grant agreement and any amendments thereto from the 2020 Community Development Block Grant Program Coronavirus Response Round 2 and 3, dated December 18, 2020.
We have a motion by Councilmember Jose Moran. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Council Member Soto. Get roll call.
Roll call, Councilmember Soto,
Yes.
Councilmember Moran,
Yes.
Councilmember Garcia.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Garcia,
Yes.
Mayor Aguilar.
Yes.
Motion approved by a vote of 4-0.
Thank you, Monica. Now we're going to go to public hearing, item number 4. This is a public hearing, resolution approving conditional use permit 2020-04 to allow an outdoor dining area and the on-sale of beer and wine for indoor and outdoor dining at Hugo's Mexican Grill, 1472 B Street, 2G, located within the downtown zoning district, DTC, and less than 1,000 feet from another restaurant serving beer and wine. This item, Randy, thank you.
Okay, I think we're good to go. All right, this is a little bit unusual use permit application because it's going straight to you as the city council instead of first going to the planning commission. Now, the reason for this is a request, it's in two parts. The first part is to allow for a outdoor dining area serving alcoholic beverages, in this case, beer and wine. No hard alcohol is being proposed in this, and that request requires consideration and approval by the city council. The second part of this request is this on sale of beer and wine is in a restaurant, a new restaurant, that is less than 1,000 feet from an existing restaurant serving beer and wine on sale. And that is Mountain Mike's Pizza. They have an on sale beer and wine. This is less than 1,000 feet from that location. And there's currently in the city codes a provision, and I've noted all the details of the municipal code section and verse and all of the details as to what that specifically refers to. And it prohibits a use less than 1,000 feet from opening up. So these are the two items that the council needs to consider. Now, in and of itself, this is a pretty standard type of a request. The applicant and the property owner are requesting these permits to establish a new Mexican food restaurant in a location that, if we could get a slide here, Monica. Let's see what there, thank you. And in this location, this was the location for a previous Chinese food restaurant. And so now the plan is to reuse this as a Mexican food restaurant. And so there's no new construction going on. There may be some additional
Margarita Aguilar.
refreshing of the building, but it is substantially something that's already there. That use has already been established. And if we could get the next slide that shows the breakdown. Let's try one more. Thank you. And this shows what the proposal is. And I'll use my handy dandy laser pointer if I could find it. Maybe I brought it, I know. Here it is, I think. Have to admit, this isn't enough room to make a presentation. Let's see if I can get this to work. Not so much. But what is you can see the existing building, and that's where the existing Thanks. The, there we go. The outdoor area that will have a fence, it'll be fenced off, there'll be a gate, but the basic purpose is it's at least a 4-foot fence that provides for some type of access control so that underage individuals don't go into that area for the consumption of beer and wine. So that is the proposal. And as I had mentioned before, the on the previous slide, we can see right about in here is where the pizza restaurant is located. So the distance in a straight line is less than 1,000 feet. So those are the two items that you need to evaluate and consider. Now the staff, I've looked at this, and in terms of the outdoor eating areas, it complies with all of the city standards for outdoor dining in terms of maintaining adequate access. There's no impinging on the sidewalk, as I mentioned before. It doesn't do anything to the parking lots. This use is grandfathered in as an existing restaurant, so there's no additional requirements for parking or what have you. I do expect that they will have new signage for the restaurant. You can see some of it right now, and there may be some additional refreshing of the exterior of the building. But there is no structural changes that is going to be proposed. So that in a nutshell is the proposal. The whole issue of the 1,000-foot separation, that's really a policy issue for you as the council to decide. It is not something that the Planning Commission can weigh in, which is why it's come straight to you. And, that's something for maybe during the public hearing for people to comment on and for you to evaluate. That concludes my presentation, and I'm available to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Randy. Bring it for discussion to the council. Any questions or comments or need clarifications? Councilmember Jose Moran.
Yes, some questions primarily for clarification. On the west side of the building where that proposed drinking area is, it's on the, if you can go back somehow to a previous slide, I think it's right there. So on the west side of the building where that proposed drinking, yeah, right there, is the access to that drinking area, is that coming from inside the restaurant, or is there going to be a gate to have access from the sidewalk?
The latter. There is a gate that is proposed right in this area, and it will come from the restaurant in terms of serving the waiters and waitresses, serving the alcohol and bringing the food and so forth. The individual patrons could enter and exit through this gate as well. But the fact that there is a gate and the operations of having someone from the restaurant located in that area is something that I don't think they've totally shared with me as to how they propose to do that.
Okay, so this being an outside drinking area,
Yes.
is there or under 21 people, are they allowed to be in that area, or?
No.
Okay.
Well, they will have to follow with ABC rules. And as you, maybe from your own experience, know, that there can indeed be someone at the table that is less than 21, as long as they do not have an alcoholic beverage. So you can have, quote unquote, underage individuals eating there, but there is no drinking by underage individuals. And it's up to the restaurant to enforce that.
Okay. So under age or under 21, they will have access as long as they're not drinking.
Yes.
Okay. So are there any plans to have any ambience music, like recorded music or live music eventually? Are there any plans for that?
They did not share that with me. I asked, and they said not at this time. And if they do, we have to take a look at that as an additional feature that would come in. The city has some standards regarding noise in dining establishments, and so that would be the first thing we'd look at. But it could well come back to, in this case, it may go back to the Planning Commission to add that additional outdoor music.
Okay. Okay, and just one more question. I'm looking at Exhibit A, the conditions of approval.
Yes.
I'm looking at number 5, which says the outdoor dining approval is limited to 1 year, wherein the applicant owner may request in writing a permanent permit. Does that mean, are we referring to everything that is being added to the outside of the building, including the drinking area?
Thank you for bringing that up. That is currently within the city's existing code for use of an outdoor dining area for the on sale of beer and wine. So that's part of our existing code. And so, yes, they will have to come back after a year's worth of operation. And what I've suggested, and the code says it comes back as an administrative item, that it comes back to staff, and if there have been no complaints or concerns from the police department or what have you, then staff can administratively allow the use to continue with no further reviews. So that is a kind of a safety measure for the first year.
Okay, thank you. And then because here on the picture or in the drawing I'm not able to see base where the drinking area is to the west. I'm assuming that there is a sidewalk. Is that in no way obstructing that sidewalk on that side of the building?
There is presently a patio area that is unused.
Okay.
There is the sidewalk, and it does wrap around this building, and it does not go in here. This is all a patio area or a empty concrete. The sidewalk goes along, and then right here, it's the end of the property, and there's a curb gutter, and there's another street here. And there is, in fact, the sidewalk directs one toward, there's a handicap type of a ramp in that sidewalk to go into the street level. And so that concludes the sidewalk, and it concludes the access to and around the property. So it is, it's not obstructing that, so that the access is maintained. The outdoor dining area is not encroaching. As I mentioned earlier, it's not encroaching.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Any questions, comments, clarifications, Councilmember Soto?
It doesn't indicate what type of fencing. I know that this is located right over here, and we're always working towards beautification of our downtown areas. And with it being permitted, I wanted, what are they using? A 4-foot type fence? You said gated, so I'm thinking it's got to be some type of site. I mean, I'm just looking at it as an aesthetic type, if it's going to be in our outdoors.
As you correctly identify on the materials, it does not give us an elevation or a diagram of what that fence is. I did call and asked about the fence, and they said they really don't have something proposed. Now, if it's the pleasure of the council, you can add an additional condition to say that the fence is subject to a review and approval. It can come back to you, it can go back, you can send it to the planning commission, or you could let staff take a look at it. All three of those options are possible. In that way, we
Yeah,
can
Randy?
make sure.
The applicant is actually here. Mr. Hugo Barragan is sitting in the back there, so we can certainly ask him, you know.
Yeah, those are great questions for the applicant. But you have the authority to do something about that if you wish.
Hello, Hugo. How you doing? Just, do you want to introduce yourself real quick? So maybe he could answer you that question, the fence question. The applicant's here. He might be able to answer you that question. Hugo, you want to habla español o en inglés? Ok, yo le puedo traducir si quiere. Si quiere venir aquí adelante a introducirse y nomás a lo mejor puede contestar esta pregunta. Sigue ahí el micrófono. Nomás diga su nombre y ahorita le digo la pregunta. Básicamente estaban preguntando del fence. ¿Sí entendió la pregunta? Sí, ok. Entonces, si quiere responder y luego yo le puedo decir en inglés.
Hi, buenas noches. Mi nombre es Hugo Barragán. ¿Qué era la pregunta, perdón?
El fence de la...
La dimensión del fence, más o
el
menos?
cerco que van a utilizar, de qué material es o de qué color o qué tan alto. Sí, saben más o menos ya qué van a utilizar.
Realmente yo no sé los códigos de la ciudad ni nada, pero yo le pregunté a él que de acuerdo a lo que es el código de la ciudad, lo que la ciudad requiere, de esa manera vamos a tratar de hacer la fence ahí. Pero por lo menos creo que debe ser unos 4 pies de altura y pues algo que tenga más seguridad, ¿verdad? No sé si ustedes mismos puedan proveer algo de información o...
Sí, claro que sí. El señor Randy va, he's basically saying, Randy and Maria, that whatever regulation is out there in regards to the height of the fence or material and stuff like that. Obviously, he wants to work with the city, so Randy, whatever, you could provide him additional information of what those regulations are, then he would work based on that. So basically saying whatever material, based on regulation, Maria, and however tall we need it to be. I'm just going to tell him that basically what you mentioned, that we've been trying to beautify the city and all that good stuff. So básicamente la pregunta era porque obviamente hemos trabajado aquí en la área del pueblo, de la ciudad, hasta establecer pues, que se mire bonito, todo eso, y por eso le estamos preguntando del cerco, de qué cerco para que se mire bien, y todo eso,
pues
¿verdad?
yo estoy dispuesto a colaborar de la forma que sea más prudente y necesaria.
Gracias.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's willing to, cooperate and work with the city in regards to those details you were mentioning, Maria. Tell him about, been working here in town to make sure it's, verification and make the downtown area look nice. So he's willing to work with the city and collaborate and cooperate and go from there.
I appreciate that, and just for the city manager because I don't want to put any more added expense to what he's trying to accomplish with the fencing and the outdoor dining, because that is going to be very hefty for him. Would he also be able to apply for some of these grants that are coming up?
We'll look at that. I doubt it, given what the money's going to be used for and stuff like that. However, we'll certainly work with them to see what else is out there, and also in terms of the building material and what something aesthetically pleasing would look like in the downtown. So I'll just translate that since I said that. Me hizo una pregunta que si posiblemente podría usted solicitar a unas becas como las que estaba hablando el día de hoy. Dije que creo que eso no calificaría, pero de todos modos lo vamos a ver, y aparte de eso vamos a trabajar con usted, colaborar para las mejorías de allá y el material para que algo que que concuerdo con la dinámica del centro del pueblo.
Perfecto, me parece muy bien.
All right.
Sí.
Thank you.
Muchas gracias. Any further questions, Councilmember Soto? No? Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Garcia, any questions?
Yeah, I got two questions probably for Randy. Can this permit be revoked at any time, let's say in the future, if there's issues there on, with subjects in the outside dining area?
Yes, because the use is under a use permit control, there is a procedure for revocation. It does require a public hearing. It's something that is an established process within the municipal code. And typically, when that happens, we get complaints and so forth, and then from that, we establish a public meeting and a hearing.
Thank you. And then the other, is there going to be time on outside dining for alcohol-wise?
The state ABC controls that. And so just like they'll control the height of the fence around the outdoor area, those are state controls that will basically enforce. But the usual control of having to close by 2 a.m. would apply in this case.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Garcia, any? And just before we move on, anybody on the phone, can you please make sure you're muting your telephones because we could hear what's going on in your house or where you're at. And please mute your phones. Thank you. In regards for me, you know, I don't have any questions. Just clarifications in regards to, obviously, we're discussing the outdoor dining area and the use permit to sell beer and wine less than 1,000 feet from another restaurant. Is there other restaurants in that certain situation? I don't know if you talked about this or not, but you know, I know obviously there's other restaurants nearby. Is there other areas where it's less than 1,000 feet?
No.
Okay.
No, this is the only instance where another restaurant serving alcohol, whether it's on sale beer and wine or on sale general, is less than 1,000 feet from a similar on sale use. So this, you know, we're over 900, but we're not over 1,000 feet in this instance.
Because ultimately, that's what we're discussing right now, right? That special use permit.
You are correct, Mayor. That is one of the issues.
Yeah.
There are two.
The other one's the outdoor dining.
The use of the outdoor space for alcoholic beverages, and then two, the separation requirement in the code not being met.
Thank you. So I just want to make sure we all know what we're actually discussing here tonight. I don't have any further questions. Do we, council, bring it or opening up to any public comment or questions? Anybody on the phone have any questions regarding this item? This is a public hearing, so I'm opening up the public hearing at this time. Seeing no, how about any comments from here inside the chambers? Anybody, any comments?
Just a quick comment, real quick. Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate.
Sorry, this is open. It's I had it open for a public hearing, and we're taking a public comments. I'll bring it back to council. All right, I'm seeing no public comment. I would like to formally close the public hearing and bring it back to council. Okay, Jose, go ahead.
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you to the people that are really trying to bring businesses, to open new businesses here in town and support the community in one way or another. And, you know, during these tough times, it's anyone that is willing to risk, you know, opening a business, it's with all those challenges, it's really appreciated, and we'll see what happens. Good luck.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions or comments, council? No? Okay. Go ahead.
And if I may, Mayor, and Randy, maybe you could kind of help me out here, but just hearing some of the concerns, or at least the questions from the council, I was thinking and looking at the Exhibit A, conditions of approval, potentially, I know that the fence is not addressed. I was thinking about potentially adding a condition: the applicant shall present the plans for the fencing of the outdoor dining areas to the city manager and planning director for approval prior to construction. Something like that, just to make sure we add a condition related to the fencing. Also, in listening to the question about whether it could be revoked by the mayor pro tem, I know the answer is yes, but potentially having a standard section that just states the use of the site shall not result in a negative public health and safety issue or a public nuisance. Just having it there to address kind of the concern by the mayor pro tem. And I have those written down, Randy. I don't know if there was any kind of thought about that or any objection on the planning side to have that, just to address some of the concerns, obviously, or questions by the council.
Yeah, those are great additions, and we can definitely add that if the council wishes to add those two items.
Thank you, Jose. Thank you, Randy. Council, do you have any motions with consideration of the additions of items 6 and 7 to the conditions of approval?
Just, I want to, is it the full resolution? Are we doing this in two parts, one for the 1,000 feet and one for the outdoor dining?
That's a great question, Councilmember Soto. Council?
Sorry, Randy, it's one resolution you have for the actual item itself, right?
Right, I have combined them.
Correct.
So it'll be one, under one resolution, one motion, with the consideration of the, adding those two items to the conditions of approval.
I'll make a motion for the resolution of the City Council, the City of Livingston, approving the conditional use permit 2020-04 to allow outdoor dining area and the on-sale of beer and wine for indoor and outdoor dining at Hugo's Mexican Grill, 1472 B Street, Suite G, located within the downtown zoning district, DTC, and less than 1,000 feet from the other restaurant serving beer and wine with the added conditions.
I have a motion by Councilmember Soto. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mayor Pro Tem Garcia. We get roll call, please.
Roll call, Councilmember Soto,
Yes.
Councilmember Moran,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Garcia,
Yes.
Mayor Aguilar.
Yes.
Motion approved by a vote of 4-0.
Thank you, Monica. Okay, I'm going to move on to our citizen comments. The section of the agenda allows members of the public to address the City Council on any item not otherwise on the agenda. Members of the public, when recognized by the mayor, should come forward to the lectern and identify themselves. Comments are normally limited to 3 minutes. In accordance with state open meeting laws, no action will be taken by the City Council this evening. For items which are on the agenda this evening, members of the public will be provided an opportunity to address the City Council as each item is brought up for discussion. Do we have any citizen comments on the phone? Please identify yourself. I don't hear any comments on the phone.
This is Margarita Aguilar speaking.
Hi, Margarita Aguilar. Go ahead with your citizen comment.
Thank you so much. First of all, I'd like to say good night, good evening to all of you. I honestly would hope that these new council members have know that we're here to support them. I really would like you to, I think as Councilmember Moran said, to go out and make sure you connect with the community. We are here to help, and we want the betterment of our community as a whole. Being that said, I had a question really quick for our city manager. I know back when I was heard, there were 2 sessions where they were called workshops where the council members, new and former, were set to learn about the Robert's Rule of Law. So I was wondering, are those sessions still available for the new council members to know what it is to conduct themselves on council, and also to find ways to bring items forward, and also to learn a little bit about what a conflict of interest is.
Margarita Aguilar, could you mention
Yes.
the question again, please, because it was hard to hear.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so my thing is, back when council had started, new members were provided workshops. There was two where the council members, new council members, former council members for review, were allowed to learn about the conduct of being on council in regards to their conflict of interest, their behavior, per se, bringing items to the front for discussion. So my question is to the city manager, are those workshops still provided?
So if I understood you correctly, Margarita, or Mrs. Aguilar, you're specifically stating whether or not there was a couple of workshops that were programmed, like ABC 123 training, ethics training. Is that specifically what you're asking? Or have those been
Definitely.
conducted?
I wasn't sure what they were called, but yes.
Okay, and you're asking whether or not those were conducted already?
Whether for the prior or the
available?
incoming council members.
Okay, yeah, okay. I just want to make sure we were on the same page. So, yes, in
Yes.
terms of, and our legal counsel can certainly jump in at any time, but yes, whenever there is new council members that are, or any appointed officials, they have to go to, that's one of the mandated requirements, that they have to go through the ABC 123, or the AB 1234 ethics training. And so they're conducted by our legal counsel, or they can actually do that online, or they can actually participate as part of the League of California Cities. So there's different ways for them to meet those requirements. And
Okay, so I think the
I'm not
second part
sure-
of my question was, when will the new council be allowed to be part of that?
So maybe I could jump in, and good evening, Ms. Aguilar.
Good evening.
This is the city attorney, Jose Sanchez. So I definitely understand your question. I remember giving those workshops. New council members do receive a packet of the new laws, and they are required to take the ethics training. My office is actually right now coordinating, not only for the new members, but for the entire council, training regarding the items that you're just talking about right now, which are usually, you look at the Brown Act, the Public Records Act, conflicts as far as the Political Reform Act, Section 1090, and all those things. Everything kind of you've gone through in those workshops. We're currently right now scheduling those for the entire council.
Thank you so much. I think that was one of my concerns, and so I wanted to address that. I know that that's going to really guide this council to make better judgments. Transparency is so important when it comes to sitting as a council member. Whatever you do is one thing versus what you say. So I think they're knowledgeable in the law. I think they're better off and hopefully making better choices when it comes to decision making. So thank you so much for both of you, City Manager Ramirez and our Attorney Sanchez. It's good to hear from you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, and I do want to point out Ms. Margarita Aguilar is a former council member of the city of Livingston. Any other citizens' comments by phone?
Yes.
Identify yourself and go ahead.
Catherine Shaw Rodriguez. Quick question. The live stream did not go live until towards the end of Chief Soria's report. So I was wondering if you could catch us up on what we missed and whether or not that first portion of the meeting will be available when this video goes up.
Hi, Catherine. This is Jose, the city manager. We do have everything recorded, so we're going to try to figure out a way to overlap the video. Well, actually, there was no video, so there is no video for that first portion because there was some technical difficulties. Yeah, so, but we do have the audio, and so we'll be more than happy to provide the audio for that.
Okay, thank you.
And in regards to catching you up, one of the closed sessions announcements were four votes to 0. The council appointed Trevor Taniguchi as our city attorney with Jose Sanchez as special counsel. So that was one of the items. In regards to other stuff, it was a presentation regarding from the Public Health Institute, from Racial Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion City Resolution, and a proclamation declaring January 9th, 2021 as Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. And Council Member Kang is absent from the meeting due to a family and emergency.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else on the phone regarding comments from the public? I see none. Here in chambers, any public comments? Just identify yourself and go ahead.
There's some disinfectant wipes there, and there's a trash can in the back.
This was untouched from last time, so I think we're okay.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody. I would like to start off by thanking Mayor Aguilar, Councilman Moran, and Councilwoman Soto for reaching out and meeting with me, with my family and I. We spent 2 to 3 hours with each of you and really appreciate your time with us. Your prompt attention and kindness speak volumes. Thank you. I'd like to add that Councilman Garcia has not made any attempt to reach out to me or my family to better comprehend the situation. I believe he does not understand the magnitude of what is occurring around him or simply does not care. Your inaction and silence also speaks volumes, sir. I am reading my statement as I wrote it earlier today. While I was writing it, Councilman Garcia finally called me an hour and a half before this meeting at 5:35. Better late than never. I look forward to meeting and discussing city issues with you, sir. Thank you. With that said, I'm here today seeking an update. Where are we at in the process and what has taken place so far? A slap on the wrist is not going to suffice here. I will be attending regularly and asking the same questions so that this matter is not swept under the rug and ignored.
Thank you, sir.
There'll be no comment here now?
I was just going to mention the same thing I mentioned last time. We take every accusation, comment seriously. I could tell you that we are taking matters into consideration, definitely trying to address it as soon as possible. Obviously, we spent some time together and you reached out to council members to talk to you about it and, further discuss it. So I just want to tell you that, I want to assure you that we are definitely taking this into consideration seriously. Like I said, we don't condone such behavior, such comments from anybody representing our city. So, I just want to say that. Sure.
Bless you. As of right now, there's no time frame, though?
Well, I do also know that the city attorney's office, I know Trevor has reached out to you. You guys have spoken, and I think that you guys are scheduled, or at least you're going to be contacting him again, I think, to get more details. But we are looking into the matters you brought up.
Again, no update, though, right?
At the moment, we're still gathering all the details, and I think that there is also an item later on tonight regarding some of that.
Thank you all.
Any other comment from citizens here in our chambers tonight? Seeing none, we're going to move on to our consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda calendar are considered routine or non-controversial and will be enacted by one vote unless separate action is requested by the city manager or city council members. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless members of the city council or city manager request that specific items be removed. And under our consent agenda, we have item number 5, approval or warrant registered dated January 14, 2021. Item 6, resolution adopting City of Livingston Master Employee Salary Schedule effective 1. Item 7, approve program guidelines for business assistance and payment program funded by CDBG CV1 grant. Council?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
We have a motion by Councilmember Jose Moran. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Councilmember Soto. Okay, roll call, please.
Roll call. Councilmember Soto?
Yes.
Councilmember Moran?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Garcia?
Yes.
Mayor Aguilar?
Yes.
Motion approved by a vote of 4-0.
Thank you. We're going to go down now to discussion and potential action items. So we've got item number 8, which is council authorize the reclassification of vacant administrative analyst position to accountant number 1. Who has that item?
I do.
Yeah,
Vanessa
we have
Portillo.
a PowerPoint if you want to. Hey, Monica, do you have the, okay.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, members of the public, city staff. I'm Vanessa Portillo, Finance Director, and the item that we have for your consideration is the reclassification of a vacant administrative analyst position into an accountant 1 position. This item was presented to you in our previous meeting on January 5th, and at council's request, we were asked to provide more information as far as the comparison of the salaries and the cost between the administrative analyst and the accountant 1 position. So we've prepared a visual. So we can share with you at the top of this of our chart here, we are showing the step, so the wages of an accountant 1 and an administrative analyst. You can see that we have broken it down. It's showing the annual salary for each one of those positions. We are showing the different steps that each one of those positions have within their classification. Just as a note, the administrative analyst position, which we footnoted, it does have a step F, and the accountant 1 does not have a step F. It only goes up to step E. But for comparison purposes, we have included the salaries for the accountant 1 on the step F column. So we can also do a comparison between what would be the cost of an accountant 1 and an administrative analyst at the F step. Another item that you can also observe in our first chart, just on the wages themselves, besides the fact that our accountant 1 does have a higher per hour or annual salary than the administrative analyst. They're both in different bargaining units. Our accountant 1 belongs to the confidential bargaining unit, and the administrative analyst belongs to the clerical bargaining unit. So at first observations, and I believe this was one of the items that it was brought up as a comment, and during our last meeting, we can see that absolutely yes, the accountant 1 position does have higher wages than the administrative analyst. And you can see for each year we have calculated the difference. So it would range between $6,500 a year all the way to step E, $8,000 difference a year in wages, where the accountant 1 would be higher. And step F, we can see that if we were to compare an administrative analyst at a step F to the step E salary of the accountant 1, the difference is about $5,000. However, when we propose and when we bring up and when we calculate the cost of an employee, it's not just the wages of the employee. We do a full costing of this employee along with the health benefits and any other benefits such as pension, workers' compensation, state disability insurance. All that, it's a package of one employee that we as an employer are committing to provide such benefits to the staff member that we're bringing on board. So at the bottom, you can see the full cost comparison between the accountant one and the administrative analyst. Again, they both pertain to different bargaining units, and due to the fact that they belong to different bargaining units, there are different benefits that have been negotiated for those bargaining units. So the first item that you can see is our health benefits. Our health benefits for our administrative analysts are higher, and those are items that are negotiated in the bargaining unit contract of that pool of employees. So it's a set cost for the employer, and that's $4,500 higher than what it's been negotiated for the accountant one. And also the other benefits, which I mentioned, they include Medicare, unemployment, disability, workers' comp, pension. They come up to almost $5,000 higher for the clerical staff personnel than our accountant one in the confidential bargaining group. So altogether, we're looking at a cost of an accountant one of roughly $90,000 a year compared to the administrative analyst annual cost of $92,000, and that's where we had proposed, or where we were showing those $2,000 savings on an annual basis. Our item recommends that the vacant position is reclassified from an admin analyst to an accountant position, not just because of the savings, but because the vacant position, having that vacancy, allowed our department to assess the need of what we need, and the accountant position, the technical background and the qualifications that my department needs to push and to ensure that we comply with auditing guidelines, different rules, claims, that we're able to meet those demands. So it's on the basis of a need, and to me, it becomes also a saving. So it's somewhat of a win-win situation that I feel we're proposing to council. Do you have any questions?
Thank you so much. Council comments, questions, clarifications. Councilmember Jose Moran? Any? No? Councilmember Soto? No? Mayor Pro Tem Garcia? I don't have any questions. We're going to open it up to the public for public comment regarding this item. Anybody on the phone? I don't hear anything. Anybody in the chambers tonight want to comment? Thank you. I'll bring it back to council for discussion or any motions regarding this item or further clarification. No more questions, clarifications, anything? Okay. Any motions?
I move to approve to authorize the reclassification of a vacant administrative analyst position to account one.
We have a motion by Councilmember Jose Moran. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilmember Soto. Will we get a roll call, please?
Roll call. Councilmember Soto?
Yes.
Councilmember Moran?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Garcia,
No.
Mayor Aguilar.
Yes.
Motion approved by a vote of 3-0.
3-1.
3-1.
3-0.
3-1.
Oh, sorry, 3-1, sorry, 3-1.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move on to item number 9, which is consider adoption of a resolution appointing Jason Roth as a regular member to the Planning Commission and direct staff to advertise for interested residents to serve on the Planning Commission. Randy's coming up. Thank you.
Hello. At your last meeting, you directed staff to bring back the possibility of the appointment of Jason Roth as a full regular member of the Planning Commission, elevating him from alternate member. And you suggested by consensus that the remaining 2 vacancies, because you might recall we have 3, 2 regular, 1 alternate, and that those could be subject to a advertising for 45 days and see what happens. So, brought it back for you, for your consideration, and it's really in your court now, how you want to handle this, this vacancy. One thing I did do is I took a look at the last 12 months of the attendance of each commissioner or alternate commissioner, because in the city code, it does say that if a commissioner has more than 3 unexcused absences within a 12-month period, they've resigned by non-attendance. So I have cataloged all of the individuals. Chair Wallace, Commissioner Bassi, and alternate Roth have no vacancies within the last 12-month period. Commissioner Bath has 1. Commissioner Mendoza Gonzalez, the vice chair, he has 2. Commissioner Judy has 2. And with the non-attendance at this month's meeting, Commissioner Kane has 4. So that's the status. And so it could be considered that you have 4 vacancies instead of the 3. And that that by non-attendance, Commissioner Kane resigned from the commission. So that's before you.
Thank you, Randy. Just to clarify real quick, you said unexcused absences. What would be considered an excused absence? Do they need to bring doctor's notification, proof? Who did they notify when they can't attend the meeting?
And the code defines an excused absence as relating to medical reasons they can't attend for themselves or for their immediate family. Those are the only absences that are excused. We have often an individual commissioner will call up and say, well, I have to work and I can't be at the commission meeting. And we love that because then we know what's happening, but it's not an excused. To be excused, it has to be a medical related reason for themselves or an immediate family member.
Thank you. And who did they notify? If they just call you?
Yes, they actually call the administrative assistant, Philomena, because she's there much more than I am.
What if they're unable to because of that emergency? How much leeway or time period do they have?
It's not specified in the code, and we haven't run into it. I mean, clearly, they can email, and I do try to look at the emails before attending any public meeting, just to make sure, in case there's a question or what have you. But we usually have an email that's followed up by a phone call.
Okay. Have you reached, since you mentioned Mr. King absent for or unexcused absences, and he resigns basically, have you guys reached out to him and informed him of that?
No, we have not, because I just did the count this afternoon.
Okay. So this is the first time he'll be hearing of this, correct? Okay.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. And the last meeting, when was the last meeting you guys had?
We had a meeting last week, a week ago today, and that represents the fourth unexcused absence for Commissioner King.
Okay. I'm just asking these questions because I want to be as fair as possible. I know that they're dealing with a family emergency, so somebody might want to reach out and, make sure that's the unexcused absence, I guess. But let's move on to our item. Council discussions, questions. Councilmember Jose Moran, go ahead.
Actually, if I may go back and ask a question to Randy?
Oh, yeah, this is a discussion. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So you did mention that, when was the last Planning Commission meeting? That was last Tuesday, right?
Yes, a week ago.
And based on your reports, that made absence number 4 for Mr. Kang?
That is correct.
But according to the policy, to the Planning Commission policy, you can only have maximum of 3. And then you can either resign or be removed, right?
I'd have to, let me read it to you. I have it right here.
I have it, well, if you can look at item, it says removal of members and vacancies.
It basically says, any commissioner's seat shall automatically be deemed vacant for failing to attend any 3 meetings in any 12-month period unless the absence is a result of illness or family emergency, or removal of the commissioner from office would otherwise be prohibited by law. And it does say, going on, in the event that a commissioner is unable to attend a meeting due to illness or family emergency, the commissioner shall inform the city manager or community development director at the earliest opportunity before the meeting in order for the absence to be excused. The commission shall immediately inform the city council of such vacancy. Vacancies on the Planning Commission from whatever cause shall be filled by the City Council for the unexpired term. So I'm notifying you.
Okay, let's move on to the actual item being discussed, and that's something that we will need to discuss at a later time. Or
but also this refers back to to the actual item that we're discussing right now, because the people or the persons that are interested, they need to be aware of. And am I correct, when they become commissioners, they do receive a copy of this, right?
Yes.
So this relates to the actual item that we're discussing right now.
And if I may, I think that that any rules, regulations of the Planning Commission absolutely do relate to bringing in new planning commissioners. It is more of the individual conversations of kind of a specific case that I think that ended up being very specific to one member. But I think that staff has direction to look into that issue to make sure that the policies are being followed. But yes, you're right, the policies for any new incoming planning commissioner, knowing what the policies are very important.
any other questions? Jose?
Not at the moment.
Councilmember Soto?
As I mentioned earlier, I did receive a letter from Chair Wallace in regards to Planning Commission. He mentions that that there used to be an interview process, but that is no longer exercised. I do recall, though, in 2018, we did receive some applications, however, they may have expired or no longer valid for this process. So is that what the intention is to have our council, I mean, not council, but interested applicants actually go through the application process and then an interview period with the council or staff or your commission?
We do expect that if you, depending on your actions, that if you open it up for interested parties, we do expect and tell them they need to fill out an application. And then the issue of an interview, that's not staff's decision to make. That is the council, whether you wish to have an interview at the meeting or develop a subcommittee to interview or what have you. The interviewing has happened in the past and it hasn't happened all the time. It's really at the discretion of the city council. But the idea of having an application is something that staff enforces. We do require that an application to come in. A letter of interest is great, but it's not sufficient.
Thank you, Randy. Any further questions, Councilmember Soto? Any questions, Mayor Pro Tem Garcia?
Negative.
And I don't have any questions. Take it out to public comment. On the phone, anybody have any comments regarding item number 9? Hear none. But here in the chambers, any questions regarding item number 9, sir? No? Can we bring it back to council? Any further discussion, council? Any other clarifications?
So the way that this is written is that to appoint Mr. Roth to a regular member to the Planning Commission. So how is that going to affect the other 2 vacants or the 2 other spots that are up for, because if he is selected as a permanent commissioner, then someone from the, maybe the attorney can explain that a little bit better.
Absolutely, and I think Randy could also jump in, but I know Randy and I had a conversation about this, whereas, as we know from the staff report and Randy's presentation, the members continue to serve until until somebody is appointed to replace their seat or they're reappointed. Mm-hmm. So they continue to serve. Well, if you ended up appointing the alternate to a permanent position tonight, as the staff report, as the resolution is written, then one of the 2 planning commissioners that have the quote-unquote permanent seat would have to be, now their term has ended because they have been replaced. So only one of them would be continuing to serve until they're replaced, and then the alternate position would be vacant, if that makes sense, because you are talking in this resolution as the alternate taking over a permanent seat. So that seat's going to be filled.
And staff would like you to indicate which of those permanent seats you're replacing, whether it is the current chair, Commissioner Chair Bob Wallace, or the other one, which I'm blanking out right now, I'm sorry to say.
So how that the other?
Oh, it's Commissioner Judy.
The 2 other spots that are.
Okay, please mute your phones.
Because if
Can you please mute your phones? Thank you. Go ahead, Randy.
Oh, I'm concluded, just saying that if you choose to appoint Jason Roth to a regular term, please inform staff which of those regular terms, either Chair Wallace's term, you would not be appointing him to chair, but to fill that position, or Commissioner Judy's term, because both of those are regular terms that are coming up for their expiration.
And Randy, if I may, so the options here for the council are to either go with the staff's or the recommendation or what staff was asked to bring back, which is the appointment of Mr. Roth to a permanent position, and then direction to go ahead and advertise for the other positions, or the council can also decide to direct staff to advertise for all the three positions. So the council has the discretion here to discuss on what's the best course of action, right?
Thank you. In regards to myself, just like I mentioned during the last council meeting, I believe there was we had some discussion regarding this item, and nothing against anybody specifically, but to me, the most fair thing to do, like I mentioned last time, is to advertise all the positions. It doesn't mean Jason will not be appointed. Most likely he might be, since he's been serving well. But that's just, we're going to be consistent, fair, as a council, and not predetermine who already know is going to be there. It's only the right thing to do to advertise fairly as a whole, and then make a decision based on applicants and those that are interested in continuing serving. That's just my opinion, but we've got further discussion regarding that. Pretty much we have two options: or go with the current recommendation, or go for something different and advertise for everybody. But any further comments, discussions, or and another thing, like Randy stated, we will have to identify who's going to be who. If we go with this, who Jason will be taking place, right? Mm-hmm. From those two members currently serving. So somebody could make a motion or further discussion.
Again, I realized that at the other previous council meeting that there was an appointment made, and I truly believe with the memo that you had provided suggesting as an appointment and putting the other two vacancies out to the public, but hearing what has been discussed tonight in regards to absences and to replacement, identifying another planning commissioner, I think it just threw a wrench in part of the discussion that we should be having in regards to furthering this process. So I think there's more to discuss in regards to what was said tonight for regards to absences for planning commissioners, and then by having to have one past commissioner and one present chair and a prior chair, again, in all fairness, trying to decide that out without actually planning and thinking it thoroughly and fairly. Mm-hmm. So again, whatever, more discussion on it.
Thank you, Councilmember Soto. Yeah, definitely. I think it merits more discussion, or at least more direction or clarification. Like I said, there might be possibly another vacancy, and I think the fair thing to do is just open it to the public and then possibly have get a pool of applications and people interested in wanting to serve, and then have a discussion of how we're going to appoint or fill those different positions. I don't know, that might be a possibility, but what do the rest of you think, Jose?
I think that well, first of all, I do appreciate the service that all of them have done. I have attended a lot of their meetings, and they're very responsible, but I do agree. I think that we have some additional information that could be added to our discussion, and having the possibility of allowing this to be opened up, I think it would be better. And then we might have some additional questions that Randy might be able to answer next time. So I would support for this to be continued if possible.
Continued or advertised for all positions? Just to get clarification, continue the item or go ahead and advertise for all the positions?
To go ahead and advertise for all of the positions.
Okay, thank you. Is that a motion?
Yes, I motion to go ahead and advertise for all of the positions.
We have a motion by Councilmember Jose Moran. I'll second that motion. Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Yes. Thank you. We'll move on to item number 10, which is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Livingston establishing the City of Livingston Code of Conduct for City Council members and appointed public officials. And Council will begin this item.
And I could go ahead and open this up, Mayor, and then turn it over to you. I know that the staff report has this item being prepared by yourself, the city manager, and my office. Before you, Council, is the establishment of a City of Livingston Code of Conduct for City Council members and appointed public officials. Now, it's my understanding that the city manager has established a code of conduct for staff already, so this is something the staff has. It is something that currently it doesn't exist for, we don't have any code or specific regulations for the council or appointed officials other than what state law may say. This will go a step further. Now, the intent of a code of conduct is really to set high standards or to at least have documented the high standards that council has for themselves and for the body. In looking at it, and this will give you, maybe, Mayor, if you could kind of entertain me, I'll just kind of go through the headings because I think those say a lot about what this code of conduct is and what it doesn't do. The reality is it applies to the city council and also the appointed officials from the different bodies. If you look at the actual code of conduct, it has specific standards that the council will hold themselves accountable to, and also the appointed members. Even looking at just the titles, act in the public interest. Recognizing that the stewardship of the public interest must be their principal concern, the city officials' principal concern. The city officials have to comply with all laws, regulations, and city policies. Some of those regulations illustrated here or mentioned here are, these laws include, but are not limited to, the United States and California constitutions, the Political Reform Act, the Brown Act, the City of Livingston Municipal Code, and city ordinances and policies. We just talked earlier about the different trainings that are going to be set up for the entire council, as well as also a follow-up to this. Conduct of business in a manner that is respectful. City officials shall refrain from abusive conduct, verbal attacks upon the character or motives of other members of the city council, board, commissions, committees, staff, and the public. Respecting the process established by the city council. Fully participate in public meetings when present, unless there's a conflict of interest. Making decisions based on merit. Communicate openly and respectfully at meetings. Disclosure of any knowledge of corruption that council members or city officials may have. Conflict of interest. The section in here has folks not participating in matters where they have conflicts of interest. Not accepting gifts or favors that are not available to the public. City officials are required to not disclose confidential information, such as what happens in closed session or attorney-client privilege. That's very important. No representation of third parties' interests. representatives of the city of Livingston, representatives here, the city officials is a representative of the city of Livingston. That's something very important to think about when out. They shall conduct themselves in a professional manner, respectful manner out in the public, refraining from improper influence, respecting the city manager form of government. City officials shall respect and adhere to the city manager form of government of the city. Promotion of positive environments for residents, businesses, and city employees. And really, the implementation here, the code of conduct is meant to have all the city council members and also the appointed members signing the code of conduct to recognize and affirming that they will be following it. The compliance and enforcement, as far as the council members, really you're holding each other to that, this higher standard, the set of standards here illustrated today. You're really holding each other accountable. As the council knows, a council member can't be removed simply by the council. They hold elected positions. Appointed officials can't be removed by the city council. There is a removal process there. And really, this is how it's kind of enforced. It has a policy to go to in order to, again, in accountability and holding yourselves and your colleagues accountable. It's something to point to say, hey, you're not meeting that mark. And that's kind of what these are meant for, as a reminder to the council, to the public, as far as what the standards are for council members. And it's also meant to really build public trust, to build it, to maintain it. Public trust is very important, and the confidence in public officials, and this is what it is meant to do. And I don't know, Mayor, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you if you have any comments.
Thank you. I appreciate that opening to this very important item. It's very important to myself, and I know it's very important to the council. I appreciate all the work done on this, Jose and Jose. Like I said, it's very important that we brought something like this to our council for discussion and for adoption. I just want to read the preamble to the City of Livingston Code of Conduct. The residents and businesses of the City of Livingston are entitled to a fair, ethical, and accountable city government. Such a government requires that a city official comply with both the letter and the spirit of all laws and policies affecting the operations of the city, be independent, impartial, and fair in their judgments and actions, use their public office for public good, not for personal gain, conduct public deliberations and processes openly, unless legally confidential, in an atmosphere of respect and civility. To this end, we want to adopt this code of conduct to build public confidence in the integrity of the city's elective and appointed officials and ensure the fair and effective operation of the city government. Elected and appointed officials shall agree to sign this code of conduct at the time of their appointment to public office. Like our attorney here went through our different code of conduct sections, a total of 18, and describe a little bit of each one. To me, as a mayor and as a council member, transparency, communication, representing the city to our best capacity is very important. We want to be respectful and be mindful of what we do, what we comment, because we are an image of reflection of what the city is. Treat everybody with respect, regardless of anything, any race, color, background, nationality, economic status. So for me, this was very important, especially considering last meeting's comments regarding those allegations, and accusations regarding a council member. To me, we don't tolerate such behavior. We don't condone it. We will not, as council members, we shouldn't be acting in such behavior, making those kind of comments, because, we're supposed to be acting to a certain level and representing the city to a certain, level as well. We want to make sure that to me, it's very important that we gain the trust of our community, and that's something I have stated many numerous times. There has been a disconnect between elected officials and city staff and our public. We need to establish that relationship, and making sure that people are able to reach out to us. If there's any complaints, any questions, they come up to us freely and comfortably. And this just restates our commitment to our community as elected officials. I know we know that we'll be serving the community. We have a commitment to them and being fair and following all the laws and regulations and being unselfish is very important to me and I know to this council. I will also, at this moment, I will open it up for questions, discussion, and comments from other council members that want to, say something about this code of conduct. Start off with Council Member Jose Moran.
Well, first of all, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I just want to say thank you for bringing this forward and for leading the this code of conduct to be brought up to the City Council. It is unfortunate how it needed it to happen, but I'm grateful that it's here. And as you previously mentioned, actually, honestly, I thought that this code of conduct had been part of our code for the city for, for years. But then again, it's here. It's an opportunity to kind of make up and really, like the attorney said, is meant as a reminder and to gain the public trust. I am glad that I don't, that I currently have the trust from the public, and that is why, and that is something that we need to kind of acknowledge, not only as elected officials, but as regular citizens. We don't need to be elected officials to understand how we need to behave. No one should have to either be bullied, or go through certain experiences at all. So, Mr. Mayor, I really appreciate you taking the lead on this. And I'm also looking forward in the future for the council to consider a censorship policy, which we don't have either. And that censorship policy should go along with this policy here. And yes, although it is symbolic, but it's very important. That should be part of the process of gaining the trust from the community. So I will bring that up at a different time to make sure that we have and consider a censorship policy to continue having the trust from the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Jose Moran. Councilmember Soto?
I just want to reiterate, I'm thankful to be a part as representing Livingston as a whole. I believe I've gained trust along the way by the people of Livingston, so I'm thankful, and I want to be able to, well, I'm going to represent you well. So having this put forth just reiterates to everyone, even as citizens of Livingston, we all represent Livingston. However, we are here to represent you on behalf of our city's actions that we want from growth and development and so forth. So we want to be able to act on your behalf. And again, we ask of our public to share that same code of conduct, because that's what we're about. We're about unity. So I agree with this. I took an oath for it. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Soto. Mayor Pro Tem Garcia?
Yeah, I'd just like to say it's a great resolution that was brought up, and make it short, I do agree with all the council members, and we should be held to a higher standard when we're in this position.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Garcia. Just to finish off in regards to my comments, like I mentioned before, I think I know Councilmember Moran has stated that, it is symbolic and all of that, and but I think it's to me, I would see this more of it's a contract between myself and the public, and ourselves. I hope that we take this code of conduct seriously as a council, as appointed officials. And we do follow it, or we'll at least strive to follow all these different sections and all of this good stuff, because I know all of us up here, we want the best for our community, and I respect all of you, and I know you guys have all good hearts and want the best for our community. So definitely very important that we, like Jose, Mr. Councilmember Jose had stated, we don't have this in place, and I'm glad we have it now, and I appreciate all the comments from everybody in the council supporting this and agreeing to this. And now I'll take it out for public comment. First, anybody out on the phone? Any comments regarding the code of conduct? I want to hear any, let's bring it here to our chambers. Any public comment regarding the code of conduct? Sir, you're good? Thank you. Let's see any comments. I'll bring it back for any additional comments from up here. Jose? Go ahead.
Yes, if I may, just real quick. I just want to say, that I do appreciate when people come up, take the time to come and participate in conversations. And I know that we're always really busy, and it is really important. It is very important because we up here, we need to make decisions based on what you want for our community. So I just want to say thank you to everyone that has taken the time to come up and offer public comments, to JT, man, and to everyone else that has reached out. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'm in full agreement of that. Do we have a motion? Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll motion to approve.
I'll second that. So we have a motion by Jose Moran, second by myself. We get roll call?
Roll call, Councilmember Soto,
Yes.
Councilmember Moran,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Garcia,
Yes.
Mayor Aguilar.
Yes.
Motion approved by a vote of 4-0.
Move on to item number 11. This item number 11 is designate a discussion or appointment to designate voting delegates for the 2021 One Voice trip. Item number 11. Want to talk about it? I'll talk about it. Come on. I'll go ahead and take this item as a representative of MCAG. Basically, this is to have a discussion or have a regarding appointing delegates for the 2021 One Voice trip, which is the One Voice program is to develop a shared platform or projects and issues of regional significance that serves as the foundation for a federal advocacy effort. Basically, this has been going on for some years. Representatives from the 6 incorporated cities from the county and county representatives taking a trip to Washington, D.C. to advocate for regional projects, individual city projects, county projects, meeting with different officials, agencies, the White House staff to really push the effort of the needs here in our county, city, and also the Central Valley as a whole. I was able to participate in this advocacy trip along with Mayor Pro Tem Garcia a couple of years ago, and definitely it's very important that we continue participating in these programs. Definitely able to advocate for our cities with agencies out in D.C. that have field offices down in California and representatives where we could definitely establish some connection and communication and advocate for the needs we have. So that's a little bit about what this program is. We'll bring it down. We'll bring it to discussion. Councilmember Zamora, any questions or comments regarding this program? And go ahead.
Yes, well, also some questions, and so also for informational purposes for those that have not heard of what this program is all about. So the last time that the council participated was in 2019, right?
Yes.
Because 2020 was canceled because of COVID.
Correct.
And that's when Mr. Aguilar and Mr. Garcia attended, right? 2019?
Yes, correct.
Okay, and I'm also seeing on the application here that anyone interested should have returned that agreement by December 31st, 2020. How many of you have returned that already?
We haven't because we wanted to bring it as a discussion item.
Would they still be able to?
Yes, they reached out to us and we've been communicating with them and yeah, absolutely.
And who pays for this, MCAG or the city?
The city.
The city, right?
Yeah, the city.
And the actual cost, more or less?
I'm not sure, but I know for the actual program, there's a fee, correct, Jose?
Yeah, so in terms of just an estimated cost, which would be air travel, lodging, and some per diem, you're looking about $2,000
Per person?
per person, yeah.
How much is that?
About 2,000, so you got about,
Yeah.
it's about $500 to
Sorry,
$600.
I heard something else.
Oh, okay.
And normally, how many people are
Usually for the city of Livingston, two
two?
members. Mhm.
Can
I
there
know in
be
the
more?
past, I think it has varied to include the city manager, so 3, 2. The only time I participated in was been two members, yeah. And just for clarification, we are not sure if this trip is actually going to occur. This might be a virtual type of trip or advocacy efforts, or we're also thinking about pushing it later on in the year when it could be possible. And yes, I mean, absolutely, your questions in regards to how much it costs and all that stuff is very important. But I think just from hearing from the past and the relationship we established, I think it's worth the efforts to go out there and have a representative. You know, we've come back with, establish relationships with different organizations and grant opportunities. So there's different knowledge of different agencies that we approach, we talk to, and I think it's beneficial. I think it's worth what it's cost, and it's good to participate in these regional projects because then you establish that rapport with other jurisdictions, and obviously advocating as a group, as a whole, it's very, very important and essential. So that's another little piece of it. Any further questions? Council Member Soto, any questions, comments?
It was just a thought. I mean, if it's a pending type opportunity, should we wait? Because if this is not, urgent to select, then if the event's going to happen, then we will be prepared for that.
That's an excellent question. The reason they need, let me explain a little bit. I didn't add all that additional work that it's done before the trip. We need to discuss or know who's going to be appointed to this trip because there's a lot of work beforehand. There's meetings, group meetings and discussions of what our platform's going to be. For example, for the adopted platform in 2020, it was transportation, economic development, public safety, homelessness, housing, natural resources, recreational facilities. And for example, ourselves, with Mayor Pro Tem Garcia, we sat down, discussed the city's priorities. We made, flyers, sheets, brochures, because we hand out all of this information, this packet to each agency and representative, White House representative, Senate, House, staffers, FEMA, USDA, you name it, so you have to prepare. There's a schedule, platform, teams you develop. You have to practice what you're going to say. We get a lot of times what you're going to, with each representative, each agency, so you have to, practice for that, and so you go from there. So it's a lot of work going before we go to this, a lot of commitment, besides just a trip, and then the trip, it's pretty much 3 days on top of traveling time. So There's a lot of commitment, just so you guys know. Mayor Pro Tem Garcia, any questions, comments? Your experience, maybe you want to share a little bit of your experience?
So are we designating 2 today, right?
Correct.
Correct. And usually in the past, it's always been the 2 MCAG members that are representing the city of Livingston. So for me, I would just like to keep it the same as it's been going for the last couple of years.
Correct, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. Traditionally, it's been the representatives and the alternate representative that gets elected or go appointed. Okay, now I'll take it out for public comment. Any comments by phone? Are there any comments here in the chambers, sir? No, you're good. Okay, bring it back to council. Any additional comments or motions?
I'll make the motion to designate the 2 voting delegates that are currently representing the city of Livingston on the MCAG board.
We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Garcia. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second by Council Member Soto. Will we get a roll call, please?
Roll call. Councilmember Soto?
Yes.
Councilmember Moran?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Garcia?
Yes.
Mayor Aguilar?
Yes.
Motion approved by a vote of 4-0.
If I may make a comment real quick, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
Whichever way it happens, like whether it's Zoom or in person, I think it would be a great idea to come back with a nice presentation to kind of make sure that we inform the public and all the different opportunities, and they would be more engaged.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that we're striving for, definitely, for this trip, but also our different committees we're part of, definitely. I'll take that in consideration or follow through. Okay, well, let's move on to item number 12, appointment to the governing board of the San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District, Merced City seat.
So Mayor and Council, this is different than the appointment you guys made at the last council meeting, but it's the same entity, the same agency, the same duties, except that they're communicating to you that there's currently a vacancy. Okay, and so the next step is to appoint, within, you're looking at all the cities within Merced County, and you need to select a candidate for the applicants. And the positions that are listed there in bold in your packet. And so you have Councilmember Deborah, or Councilwoman Deborah Lewis from the city of Los Baños. And then, yes, our former mayor of Gustin is back as a council member. And then Councilmember Fernando Echeverria from the city of Merced. And so our city has to hold a vote to either nominate one of the applicants listed up above, or you can also reject all of those members.
Thank you, sir, for that. Council, any comments, questions, clarifications? Councilmember Jose Moran?
Yes, I was looking at, I was looking at the paperwork and the applications, and I do know a couple of the candidates, but I don't know the other one. So can you explain a little bit more about what is it that they do here for the public to be informed of what the responsibilities are and what we're voting for?
Sure. So again, you're looking at selecting one of these 3, or you can reject them all. But in terms of what this agency does, there's an 8-county basin here, and it's the air basin. So anything as it relates to primarily PM5, which is particulate matter, meeting the compliancy. There's certain types of compliancy that we have to follow. And not only that, that's the major one, the pollutants, but there's also other more mundane air pollution control district rules and regulations that happen. Like, for instance, if you want to burn, do some ag burning, or if you, are operating a chimney and when you can. And so these individuals are going to be listening to staff members with the San Joaquin Air Pollution Control District on a number of those issues. But the bigger one is making sure that this valley air basin meets the air quality goals.
Thank you. And just for informational purposes, I did read my agenda. I just wanted the public to to have a better understanding of what this is about.
Thank you, Councilmember Jose Moran. Councilwoman Maria Soto, questions, comments, clarifications? Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Garcia?
Negative, I'm good.
Thank you. Bring it back to, or open it up to the public for public comment regarding this item. Anybody on the phone want to make a comment? Okay, bring it back to chambers. Anybody in the public want to make a comment? Thank you. Bring it back to council for further discussion or comments, motions. So basically, just to get clarify this, basically we vote for one of the persons listed here, or nominate somebody, or reject all applicants. Correct? But go ahead, City Attorney.
That is what it seems like. And just a kind of a question for clarification for the city manager. I know that the letter indicates and attaches a sample resolution, and it does say attaches a sample resolution for your consideration. And then also I know there's a deadline of January 22nd, 2021. And it does say in order for your city's vote to be counted towards nomination to the committee, you must return a copy of your city council resolution on this matter to the district by January 22nd, 2021. And I know that there's a sample resolution here. It doesn't have normally our title and normally our information that's put there, but was the direction or was the intent here to have the council in this item state that this is going to be what's going to be turned into, it's going to be adoption of a resolution, and then this will be turned into our standard template with this information put in there?
That's correct, legal counsel. That is correct.
Thank you for that clarification. Council, any motions?
So just to understand, we need to select one of them or none, correct?
And that is what it seems like in the actual letter itself, indicating that your city council must hold a vote to either nominate one of the applicants listed above to the committee for appointment to the district governing board or reject all applicants. And the letter includes the three names that the city manager just mentioned.
And this is just to further clarify, is currently a vacancy on the San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District to be filled by a council member from a small city within Merced County.
I would like to motion and have the council consider rejecting all three of them. That is my motion.
We have a motion by Councilmember Jose Moran. Do we have a second? We have no second, so motion dies. Any further motions? I'll make a motion to appoint or nominate Councilmember Deborah Lewis from the city of Los Baños. We have a motion. Will we get a second?
I'll second that.
Roll call, please.
Roll call. Councilmember Soto?
Yes.
Councilmember Moran?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Garcia?
Yes.
Mayor Aguilar?
Yes.
Motion approved by a vote of 4-0.
Moving on to our item number 13, which is discussion and direction on moving up citizen comments. I know this was identified as something you wanted to discuss. Councilmember Samaran, you want to just touch bases on this a little bit, or you just want to start discussing? Or
Sure, no problem. Thank you, appreciate it. So this item, I think that while attending council meetings for the last few years here in Livingston, I noticed that eventually when, without COVID, we had opportunities to where residents are here early, since we start the meeting at 7. And sometimes we do have students also that participate either in presentations or in public comment. And sometimes they end up staying here to participate during public comment for, close to 2 hours, sometimes 2.5 hours. And it is also very normal that in other agencies, public comment is almost at the beginning of the meeting. So in consideration and in support of public to be able to come and participate, I would like the council to consider moving the public comment item earlier or up in the agenda.
thank you, Councilmember Samaran. Let's bring it for discussion. Councilmember Soto, any comments, questions, suggestions?
Again, it makes sense to move public comments up a little bit further onto the agenda so that our guests that come and have an item that they want to present, they've got 3 minutes. Sometimes they're here more than 2 hours, and then they don't realize that they have an opportunity to leave as soon as they make a comment, so they're here for the duration of our meeting. So moving it up would be ideal for our public coming in because they have something to say, they'll come back, they'll phone in if they have other things that they want to comment. They'll stay if they have other agenda items that they want to comment on, but if they only want to come for public comments, I think that they should come in, be able to do that, and leave in a manageable time to get back to what they need to be doing at their homes.
Thank you. Mayor Garcia?
Yeah, I don't have anything.
In regards to this item, I thought about it actually for some time. It definitely sounds like it could be beneficial. I mean, traditionally, it's always been an item there, or citizen comments in that section. There is currently a mechanism of changes to the agenda, so what I've seen happen before is if there's somebody requesting to go earlier in the meeting, we're able to accommodate something like that. And I think that just goes with management of the meeting, identifying there's children here for a certain item and just asking them or going ahead and moving it ahead of time. And the one thing that I might oppose to this or have me questioning this is what I've noticed in the past 4 years as a council member is that a lot of the citizen comments are a direct result of the reports from staff, from council, from the city manager. So it kind of almost makes for discussion having it in that section, because then they hear what the council said, or they might have a question about something, or it reminds them of something. So it kind of almost incites discussion, or at least some citizen comments. So that's why I kind of would be opposed to it, just because I've noticed that. But it's up to council and all of that. We're going to open it up to the public. Any comments from the public on the phone? I don't hear any comments, public here in chambers. Sir? None? Sure? Okay. Bring it back to council. Any further discussions or comments? Okay. Now entertain a motion by someone, or? Oh, we're not taking direction, it's just a discussion?
Discussion and direction.
Okay. Okay. So we could give direction to go ahead and move it, or we need some kind of other resolution or anything like that.
I think brought up as a discussion, and really here, if there's any direction by the council to see, currently you do have citizen comments. Usually if there's no public hearings, tonight we had 2 public hearings, so normally just the citizen comments fall behind that. But usually if you don't have public hearings, I believe you do have the call to order, awards and presentations of any, announcement and reports, and then you go into the citizen comments. Consent calendars always after, and discussions always after that of different items. So it's currently there, and I think it's up to the council to see kind of where on the agenda would the rest of the council like it. The mayor also brought up the potential of managing the meeting, seeing if there's folks out here interested in the public comment, seeing maybe we have a heavy public hearing item agenda where citizen comments can be moved up. And I think that's more of what the mayor was mentioning of managing the meeting.
Correct.
That's one option. The other option is determine where on the agenda you would like to move it.
Yeah, I'd like to just make the motion to manage the meeting as they come and leave it as is.
We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Garcia, and I'm going to go ahead and second that.
Roll call. Councilmember Soto?
Yes.
Councilmember Moran?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Garcia?
Yes.
Mayor Aguilar?
Yes.
Motion approved by a vote of 3-1.
Thank you, Monica. Now we're gonna, our next section, council direction of future agenda items. Councilmember Jose Moran, any future agenda items you'd like to have for discussion? Thank you. Councilmember Soto? No. Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Garcia?
Negative.
And for myself, I do have, just to summarize, we definitely need to get our priority workshop scheduled as soon as possible. I do want to bring the item of discussing our, brought this up in the future, in the past when I was a council member for our sister city program. I know I have mentioned in the past, there has been some interest from the community. We have a large community base from the state of Michoacan and the city, specifically from the Churincio municipality. I would like to have that item brought up for discussion and possible direction to make that a possibility, make that happen. Like I said, I've gotten a lot of requests, a lot of interest in becoming sister cities with that municipality. I know I've met with the Presidente Municipal in the past, along with Senor Diego here, and have, touched bases. There's a large, like I said, population here from that area of Mexico, different generations now here in our community, and I think it'll be a great just support and recognition for our community and remembering our roots, where we come from, and honoring that and part of our culture. And then, so let's have a discussion regarding that, and even in the future, other sister cities. I know that we had a program with our Japanese city. I would like, maybe in the future we could, I know they approached us, was that correct? Last year, was it last year? I believe last year. And we had potentially a meeting scheduled, but let's have those kind of discussions, establish those relationships, and celebrate each other and our cultures and our city. And with that said,
Let's see if there's any opposition.
any opposition to that, council? Jose? Maria? Mayor Pro Tem Garcia? Excellent. So with that said, meeting adjourned at 9:45 p.m. local time. Thank you.